Today's video answers the question, can I save my marriage? My name is Lee Balcom and I'm the internet's leading marriage expert. Our last video was about the question of what causes a marriage to fail. Now we're going to take the next step of, can I save my marriage? This is when it becomes personal. It's about what you might be able to do. Now I want you to know that this is a very tough question, and let me tell you why it's a tough question. You have no control over your spouse and his or her decisions. This is not like anything else. It's not like, well, I decided to get into shape, and so it's on you and your behavior to exercise, to do what it takes to get there, or if you decide to somehow change some other bad habit or something like that, you have some control over that. In this case, you do not. Your spouse has control over his or her decisions and can decide whether or not things are going to proceed forward with, say, a divorce. You can, however, choose who you will be and how you will act, and I can tell you that that may save your marriage. So first of all, I want to make an important disclaimer. That disclaimer is this: abuse, in my mind, is a showstopper. I said this briefly before, and let me be more clear about it. In my mind, an abusive relationship is not one that you should work on saving. Now, when I say abuse, I mean emotional and or physical abuse, and you are the only one who can determine what that's about. If at some point in the past, say, years ago or sometime even recently, but you think it's beyond, that there was a shove or something like that, some accidental action, that may be a little bit different. But I'm talking about when people know they're in an abusive relationship. In fact, I often have people write me and they tell me all about their relationship and they're not sure it's abusive. What I recognize is they know it's abusive. They just don't want to admit it. So you're going to have to be the judge of whether you're in an emotional or physically abusive relationship. And the reason I say that this is the one that cannot be saved or should not be saved is the risk is too high. What we know, historically speaking, is that abuse escalates. It does not get better, and abuse can be deadly. So if you are in an abusive relationship, you need to stop watching this video and you need to figure out how you can take care of yourself, especially if you have kids, how to take care of the family and get yourself out of a dangerous situation. That said, and I'm assuming everybody who's now continuing to watch is not in an abusive relationship, many marriages can be saved. I say that because I have been a part of saving marriage after marriage after marriage. Thousands of marriages, tens of thousands of marriages I've had a chance to impact through my work. Many marriages that other people have thought could not be saved can be saved. Now, few people want a divorce, so let's just start with that. Because few people want a divorce, usually divorce really comes after a lot of soul-searching, a lot of difficult thinking. It's just something that people want to avoid. However, they end up down that path because most just don't want to hurt anymore. They're tired of being in pain. They're tired of having conflict. They're tired of all these things that are painful in a relationship, and they just want to find some relief, and they see no hope. And once you see no hope, boy, it's a tough place to be. More than that, few even know what to do. And that's why you're here, and you should be congratulated for the fact that you are looking for some way of saving your marriage. You're doing something that few people do. A lot of people say, oh, I've worked on that relationship, I've worked on the marriage. They really didn't even know how to go about doing that, and so they didn't even get started. The thing is, you won't know until you try. You won't know if you can save that relationship until you try. You may think that it's impossible to save, but if you just suspend that for a moment, suspend that thought, and say, what is it going to hurt if I give it a try to save this marriage? Because there really are three options. You can do nothing. If you do nothing about your relationship, you know where it's headed. It's headed for trouble. It's probably headed for divorce. Or you can just quit now and leave. A third option, though, is not just to live with it, but to try to fix it, to find some way of having a relationship that you would treasure and love. Now, the real question is, am I willing to try? That's the one you've got to answer for yourself. Am I even willing to try? It's not, can it be saved? That's not a helpful question. Am I willing to try to save it? That's a very important question, because the worst that happens is that the relationship ends, and guess what? You're already facing that now, so the worst that happens is what happens if nothing happens. You're already there, and I say that because if we can face our worst fears, it gives us a chance to decide that the worst that can happen is not that big of a deal compared to what the upside is. Let's face it, if the worst that happens is a relationship ends, and that's going to happen anyway, you have nothing to lose by working on it. If it's already headed there, you might as well give it a try. The best that happens is that you create the relationship that you want. So you have to ask yourself the question, am I willing to put a little bit of possibility of pain into this in order to get something that may be treasured by both of us and that we may be so thankful for after we get through this? And the big thing is, if you try to save your marriage and it doesn't work, you will know that you did everything you could. You can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I did everything I could. There was nothing more that could be done. And I will tell you that having watched couple after couple, this is not a small thing. To be able to look in the mirror and say to yourself, I did what I could, is such a crucial thing regardless of what happens. So I would suggest that the real question to be asking is, am I willing to take that risk? Am I willing to give it a try? And if you are, I want you to learn more about saving your marriage now by going to www.savethemarriage.com. You're going to find a possibility there for you to learn everything you need to know about saving a marriage. You can continue watching these videos. You can also get a free email e-course at www.savethemarriage.com. It's free. There's no obligation. You're going to get more information about how to save your marriage.